Like scary movie. What's your favorite scary movie?
Here's Johnny. He'll tear your soul apart. The boogeyman is real, and you found him.
Game over, man. Game over.
What do you want?
I want to hear you scream. From the front time, bitch.
You know what they say, Kemosabe? In hell, everybody loves popcorn.
Welcome to the SaWGuy podcast. As always, y'all know I'm the SaWGuy, and today we are going to play the game of 31. That's right. I know everyone's telling me, well, you should have did this for episode 31. It would have made more sense. But then, I was like, but I wanted to wait off on this one because this movie actually takes place on Halloween. So I figured, keeping in the Halloween tradition this year, since I'm so fucking styked, I can't even talk. Can you tell I'm excited about Halloween coming up? Yeah, just a little, right? Just a little. But anyways, I wanted to do this episode specifically because of the Halloween season that's coming upon us, So I decided I'll pick out Rob Zombie's 31. Now, if you've never heard of 31, or some of you might have seen it, most of us horror fans have, 31 is actually a film done by Rob Zombie, and what's so special about this film is that he completely crowdfunded this shit. I'm talking, he went on to, what the hell are those money website things? GoFundMe, stuff like that. I don't know too much about it. Obviously, I don't do the GoFundMe shit, but he came out with the idea and said, hey, if I do a movie, what do you guys want to see? And everybody was basically saying, do another movie. And, with because this movie came out right after Lords of Salem. Now, Lords of Salem is for a different topic, but I will say a lot of people had mixed reviews about that. You had a lot of people that completely loved it, you had a lot of people that completely hated it, right? So, I guess you could say it didn't tarnish his name, but it was more or less like people were worried to give him the keys to the Ferrari, so to speak, to make sure to, do another film, be successful, right? So he basically came up with the idea of doing the crowdfunding, and what was pretty cool about it is that he was very interactive. Basically, he had, different tier pricings and shit. You donate $1, you get a sticker. You donate $10, you get the sticker and a shirt. You donate $20, you get an autograph, a shirt, and the sticker, and, all this stuff. The film actually raised... they said, I don't know the final numbers, I tried looking all over, but I couldn't find it. This is what was speculated. It was around 1.2 million, Some people are saying that it might have jumped into, the 2 million range after tax, or before taxes. So, I thought it was pretty cool. He was really interactive for the fans. He wanted to do another film. And everybody was beating it like a fucking drum for him to come back to his roots, right? So, what was cool about this whole campaign is that he basically, he kept everybody in the loop, so it wasn't like he was doing it not as a scam, but, you hear the stories of people saying, hey, GoFundMe, I'm going to do this project, and then they never fucking do it, right? Rob Zombie, he was a man of his word, and which was pretty cool, because, every other month, he was releasing, new, I guess you could say promotional art, storyboards, everything that he hand drew himself, because he basically did most of this film himself, the ideas and stuff. And he would release to the fans. And for the longest time, there was a teaser trailer. I'll have this up in a second. Well, not teaser trailer, but teaser picture. And it showed a picture of a clown, and then it said 31 underneath. And everybody fucking lost their shit because they thought, oh, okay, this is going to be, a prequel to House of a Thousand Corpses. It's going to talk about, Captain Spaulding, because the clown looks exactly like Captain Spaulding. And, I even thought that, holy shit, he's going to do a Captain Spaulding movie, all right. But then he came out and said, well, he doesn't want to do anything that has to do with Devil's Rejects characters. There's a lot of rumor speculation on this, too. He said that he didn't own the rights, and then Lionsgate Films says that's bullshit. We don't own it. He still owns it, and there was a lot of back and forth on that. But, bottom line, he didn't want to do another Devil's Rejects film. And I can understand that. I mean, he doesn't want to be just known for one film. He wants to do a bunch of other ones. I get it, right? So, he came up with the idea of this movie called 31, right? And like every one of his films, he always, bases them down in the 70s and everything like that. The film takes place in Halloween, 1976 in the 70s. And for those of you who haven't seen it, I'll do a quick breakdown and everything like that and get in, some little bit more tidbits and stuff like that about the film. But I'm going to go really quick. I know I say that in every fucking episode, and I end up taking like this much time to explain the whole movie. But the whole breakdown of this film is, this is the comments from Rob Zombie himself. He says, it's the Running Man with a horror twist. Which, basically is what it is, The movie starts out with, you meet the main character, Doomhead, and it was really badass how he did it. And I based a lot of my trailers for this episode on this. So some of you people that are watching are like, what the fuck, he's fucking lost it. No, I lost it long ago. That scene was all from 31. I was doing my wink to it. But anyways, Doomhead, he comes out and he explains himself and everything. Hey, my name is Doomhead. They call me Doomhead. And, that whole, I guess you could say dialogue with it, And he's basically, like, not telling it to the camera, but he's telling it to his victim that he's going to kill, which I guess he was a pastor or a priest or something they had kidnapped. And this is, like, from the Halloween the year before. And he finally ends it, with an axe and cuts the guy and cuts him and everything like that. Then it starts like the old film reel, and then you play one of my favorite songs, from the James Gang. They play Walk Away, so I was like, oh shit, alright, you can always count on Rob Zombie to put in some good-ass soundtracks, I'll tell you that much, right? So the movie shows that there's a bunch of these people, I don't know if they're carnies or if they work in a show or anything like that, but they're all traveling together in this old-school RV-looking van. They're basically, it starts off, it introduces all of them and everything. You find out who's who and all that. Then they stop at a gas station, and then they start kind of fucking with the locals, Then you see Lucky Leo, who's over there trying to hit on Charlie, which is Sherry Moon Zombie's character. And what's funny about Lucky Leo, he was Bob from Batman. And I can't get that image out of my mind. I'm like, what the hell, But anyways, they start gassing up. Then you see E.J. Daly come in, and then she's, kind of snooping in the business, like, hey, how many people can you fit in there? And the one thing about Rob Zombie, all of his films, they're very sexually deviant, I should say. They have a lot of puns with sex and stuff like that, and I'm just like, I can deal without it, unless, it has a meaning and its purpose, which it did in this film, right? So she's flirting with Roscoe, one of the other characters, and saying, hey, do you have a gun in there? Are you guys packing? She's doing it in a flirtatious way. And then afterwards, she's like, okay, I'll see you later, and then walks off. They all get in the car, they start driving, and it ends up being night. And exactly like House of a Thousand Corpse, they stop in the middle of the road because there's all this shit there blocking them, right? So Roscoe comes out. He tries to, he comes out with a few of the other girls because there was a lot of them. And, as they go out there to try to move the shit, all these goons come in. They shank and they kill half of these people. They, tie them up and everything, put them in the van, and they're driving to, the area where they're going to play 31. What I thought was really cool about Rob Zombie, and I thought this was badass. I'm a fan of the old school radio like Wolfman Jack, and I was like, what the fuck, they put Wolfman Jack in there, For you younger generations, if you don't know Wolfman Jack, look that shit up, because that's classic. Anyways, they get there. They're all chained up and everything, right? You see Malcolm McDowell comes out. He's all dressed up like a fucking colonial dude. And he explains to him, we're going to play the game of 31. And he describes it as, 31 is war, And the way he explains it, it's exactly like what Rob Zombie said. It's the Running Man. And that's all it was. But with a horror twist, of course. And, he introduces the 5 that were left that didn't get killed, they're all given numbers, not names, right? And then they see, I think his name was Sickhead. Sickhead. He's the little person, obviously for YouTube videos, I'm not going to show, like, how he's all decked out, because I'll explain it for you. He's a little person who speaks Spanish, but he's dressed like a Nazi, and has the whole swastika gear and shit like that, and I was like, whoa, what the fuck is this, I mean, it's very Rob Zombie-ish, right? And he's scoping around the characters and everything. They knock him out, and then they put him in different areas of their warehouse game and shit where they're playing. And they basically were talking about the odds. Then the whole crew basically come together, and then Sickhead, he kills one of the other characters. he shanks him and everything like that. Then he's chasing after Sherry Moon, and then all of a sudden you see Meg Foster, who's in the film. Her character name is Venus. She comes right behind and fucking knocks him out with one of those bats with a nail on it. And then Sherry Moon gets up all pissed off, shanking him. He's laughing, so she gets the bat and beats the shit out of him. That's the first thing, that they, the first thing. That's the first person that they kill. Now, all these people that are going after to kill these 5 survivors, because the game of 31 is just surviving, like Running Man. Each one of them, I don't know why he did this, but he called all of them heads. So you have Sick Head, Schizo Head, I think it was Psycho Head, Death Head, Sex Head, Doom Head. They even said some other ones that they didn't show. And I thought, okay, it's... I don't know if it's a play on sex or whatever, but I was like, okay, I'll roll with it. It's pretty cool how they all have different names. And anyways, after all that's done, it shows that time's flying by. Malcolm McDowell and his lady friends that made the 31 game, they basically changed the odds and shit, right? And then they, set up a table for food, and they basically said, okay, get your protein, right? This one I thought was fucked up of the film. The guy who gets killed from Sickhead, he's underneath the table like this, just laying there, and then they have the glass top over him. They're fucking eating this meat. And all of a sudden, Charlie, she pulls out the shit, stop fucking eating it! They're eating their fucking friend! And it shows, like, certain parts of his, body is cut up, like the meaty parts and stuff like that. There's a couple ribs missing that they were fucking gnawing on. And they all start fucking throwing up. Ugh. Crazy. Crazy. And, as they're, getting their shit together, all of a sudden you see these 2 clowns, Schizo Head and I think it was Psycho Head. Was it? Yeah, Psycho Head. That's played by Lou Temple and another actor. The thing about this film is that you're going to see a lot of actors that used to work with Rob Zombie in one of his films or one way or another, right? So the 2 clowns are brothers that come out and they say, you're fucking with the best! You can't get us! So they go into their little carnival set and the whole crew goes in there. 2 of them go in there. I think it's, Meg Foster and, her name is Venus, and Roscoe. They go in there and they see the priest from the beginning. His wife is tied down. She's been brutally tortured and raped and shit. Psycho Head comes out and he fucking says, you're fucking with the best, mama. Puts a chainsaw in her fucking, down there, I'm going to say. And just, whoa, you don't expect to see that, right? And on the other side, the 2 people that are locked out, you got Panda, who was played by Lawrence Hilton Jacobs. And I remember him because he was fucking Boom Boom off of Welcome Back, Kotter, and Sherry Moon Zombie, they're on the outside fighting with the other guy, Schizo Head, right? So as they're fighting and everything, Psycho Head, he gets knocked out, and then, his chainsaw falls on the ground, they force him on it, and they gut him. Kind of like Texas Chainsaw Massacre at the beginning. Then they knock out the chainsaw from Schizo Head, and then he's all saying, they force us to do it, don't kill me, man, we're brothers, man. Panda cuts off his head with the chainsaw. So that's round 2 that they killed off, right? Round 3, they're basically like, okay, we're getting kind of worried because they're going to fucking win this. They never had a winner. So then they introduce, what's his name? Death Head, who's a big, tall German dude, and he's talking in German and everything. Then you meet Sex Head. Now, Sex Head is played by E.G. Daly, who's the same character that set them up in the beginning. She was the one that found out, okay, do they have guns? How many people are with them? Da-da-da-da-da, all that stuff. But she's all decked out in makeup and everything. And she's basically like the little girl. And then you have the big, tall dude. So it's Sex Head and Death Head. I might have did that backwards. Death Head, Sex Head, right? And they all meet up with, the 4 remaining survivors. You have Panda, you have Roscoe, Venus, and Charlie, right? And eventually, Death Head, he kills, what's his name? Panda, Freddy Boom Boom. And then all of a sudden, Charlie, Sherry Moon Zombie's character, she goes and grabs E.G. Daly, Sex Head, by the throat, and it was like, hey, let him go. And then they kill Death Head right there, smash his head in and shit, and she's screaming, no! They fucking gut her throat, and that's the end of the 3rd one, right? So now Malcolm McDowell and his buddies, they're getting pissed, and they said, okay, we need to call somebody. So that's when they start saying, the different heads and shit. And then, at the same time, it's showing, Richard Brock, the guy who plays Doomhead from the beginning, they show him, doing his business with a chick, and then he gets a phone call, and they said, okay, well, we need you to come in. And he's like, well, I'm not planning to work. I got a nice piece of booty. Well, I don't want to say the word. And he basically says, okay, double the fee from last year. So they double it, and then that's when he's like, all right, and then typical dude thing, she's they're in the middle of things, and he says this,
Negative. Take that stinking ass and hit the bricks.
But anyways, I posted that little clip right there because I didn't want to say it. I'm just like, you keep that shit out, right? But he was very vulgar about it. Let's just say that, right? And well, anyways, as they're, his Doomhead is already getting prepped up and ready to go. It shows that they're all four, like, all drained and shit like that. Then they start playing California Dreamin'. And then, Doomhead finally gets there. They tell him how much time he has left, because he has to kill them within 24 hours. Because basically the whole game is you got to survive for 24 hours, for 12 hours. A lot of the movie just skipped around where it's like, you have 7 hours, you have 4 hours. So I really couldn't keep track of that, right? In that time, they show that Doomhead was like, well, shit, I can kill a whole family within that time. So he goes to his room. That's when it shows the iconic scene of this movie where he, gets out his box, opens it up, sees the grease paint. He does all that. And then, based off of my trailer, where he's doing the, I'm not crazy, I'm in control. Fucking punches his face, gets all psyched out. Tells the goons and basically says, hey, murder school's in session. Take the night off, boys. And that's when, he's basically, like, starting to scope them out. And as they're all kind of, like, drooping and waking up, Venus is all freaking out, like, what the fuck? Why'd you let Charlie go by herself? She goes, tries to look for her. Then she meets up with Doomhead, and he basically, he shanks her. And then he basically says, well, I wasn't getting out of, what I was doing to get a wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. I want to fool around, have some fun, He guts the shit out of her. And then the only two people that are left now is Charlie and Roscoe, right? They go walking around, and then they see Meg Foster, or Venus, like she's tied down to a strap, And you see Doomhead in the corner. He claps and says, hey, I'm a gentleman of war. You can, mourn for a little bit, but do realize I'm going to come after you. So they eventually find this escape hatch, and Roscoe tells her, bitch, you need to go. You need to get out of here. Get out of here. I'll take care of it. So he sends her down the hatch, and then he turns around and sees Doomhead walking right behind him. And then he basically, pulls out his 2 switchblade. Whoosh. They go and they duke it out for a little bit, and then he shanks him. He tries to grab him, then he kicks the shit out of him. Get the fuck off of me. And then, here now at this point, it's already in the day. You see Charlie, she's walking out, and then she goes in this house, and she sees the same fucking puppeteering shit that she saw at the gas station. So then she starts to piece together everything, that it's, that they were all set up in the beginning, Doomhead comes in right behind her and says, hello, punches her right in the fucking gash, and so she's like all spazzing out and shit. Then he does his normal thing where he smokes a cigar and gives his 2 pointers on, famous quotes and shit from Che Guevara and all this. Then he tries to, tease her. He chokes her, then lets her go and says, breathe, breathe, the real fun will start, and that's when they said that 31 is over, drop your weapons, and then that's when he got all pissed off, fuck, and then he's all telling her, hey, you got lucky. And then Malcolm McDowell, it shows him and his buddies, the 2 chicks that are all dressed up in colonial. They're like, yeah, we actually have a winner. This year sucked, but, we'll handle it. And then they're asking him, well, what are you going to do with the survivor? I'll get back to you on that. And they never did. They just show that they're taking off their gear and shit. And they go back to their normal lives. They're hella rich people, And so anyways, as that's already been done, you see Charlie, she gets up and she's walking down this road. And then all of a sudden you see this van pull up. And then it stops. And then, guess who comes out? It's fucking Doomhead, right? And then, this is one of my favorite scenes. The best, this ending is just as great as The Devil's Rejects, right? It's playing Aerosmith's Dream On. And all of a sudden, she turns around and sees him. She clenches her fist. He starts smiling so big that, like, fucking drool and everything's coming out of his mouth. Pulls out his 2 switchblades. And they basically set it up to say that they were going to do, like, this dueling, fist fight, hand combat battle. But it doesn't show it. It shows that, he's all smiling, getting ready to go. Shows a close-up of his face. It shows a close-up of, Charlie's face. And then all of a sudden it goes back to the beginning, how it shows, like, the funeral of them all fucking around and stuff. And the movie ends. Great story, it's... To me, it's a lot of people have mixed reactions with this, and I'm going to be honest with you with this. I believe a lot of people have mixed reactions because, you know, it shared a lot of similarities as House of a Thousand Corpse. You know, basically the same setup, how they get caught up. The same thing with crazy family members, you know, or crazy people that are trying to go and kill after normal people, right? You know, it's just, there's too many similarities to it. And I think a lot of people got pissed off and said, okay, well, you know, what's this about? And, you know, then you have the other people that are, like, really stoked about this film because they were a part of it. They really were. This whole film was crowdfunded, right? Most of it. I want to say, like, 90% of it. I don't think Rob Zombie paid anything out of his pocket. But he did use, like, the money from the studio that he got that bought it, Lionsgate Films and Saban Films. They gave him money so he can, you know, produce it, edit, do whatever, you know. He used all that money to fully fund the rest of it. So I think this film was made for like $2 million, you know? And when he did it, like, you could tell that they did, like, practical effects. They didn't do much of CGI or anything like that. But you had the fans that really love it because they were a part of it. Now, he also had this thing on there, too, that, you know, whoever donates the most, like, 10,000 or more, you know, they could fucking get a part as one of the goons in the movie. And they did. He was honest with his word. I think two of the goons, they had like a 2-second scene when Doomhead was getting ready and they were waiting outside and stuff. And I think that was their claim to fame, which was pretty cool, you know. But it's just, you know, after seeing that film, because when they released this film, they only did a 1-day release, right? And if you missed it, tough shit, right? And when they released it, they said, okay, stay behind, and then at the end of the film, we'll show you, you know, the behind-the-scenes featurette that we're putting on the Blu-ray. They put like 10 minutes of it, you know, and it shows mostly interviews with Rob Zombie, how they did some of the makeup and stuff like that. But, you know, they were interviewing Rob Zombie, and they said, how'd you get this idea for 31? And you could hear in Rob Zombie's voice where he's like, well, it was an easy sell to Hollywood. And he basically said was, you know, it's the Running Man with a horror twist. You know, that's all it is. And you could tell from his voice, well, this is my opinion alone, so I'm not saying anybody else is saying this, but I could tell in his voice that he wanted to do more with this film. It's just, I think, to sell the film and to get it out there, worldwide release, and to get a Blu-ray release and DVD and all that stuff, he had to follow certain guidelines that the MPAA wanted. And he even said so himself, this was one of the hardest films that he's ever had to do because of the fact that they kept getting on him for so many of the gore scenes and stuff. And, you know, I won't lie. If you've never seen this film, this gore is over the top. But it has meaning to it. You know, it's psychological gore. And what I mean by that is, you know, like I said, they killed the one dude and then they gutted him up and everything. And then they turned parts of his body into food and they didn't force, but they left the food there for them to eat, you know, the rest of the friends, and they're fucking eating their other friend that's dead, you know? So, I mean, it's psychological. It fucks with your mind. And Rob Zombie's been really good at that. I know, you know, some films, as I said earlier in this episode, some films that he's done, you know, Lords of Salem, a lot of people, they just like, So at this point, you know, in 2016, Rob Zombie, everybody loved him, but then you had that small crowd of people that are like, you know, that either love him or hate him, you know? And that's, to me, I enjoyed this film. I love this film because it's done by Rob Zombie. He was very fortunate enough to be open with the fans about everything. And normally what he does for his home release is that, you know, he'll release the whole movie with the special features. Then he does a second documentary disc. And what's cool about the second documentary disc is that it's literally day one when he comes up with the idea all the way down to when they premiere the film, like, worldwide. And it's usually like 4 or 5 hours, you know, and they cut it all into like one big ass, like, kind of documentary movie, basically, of how they made that movie, you know? And he didn't do it I don't think for this release, unless you did the crowdfunding, you know, if you did the what do you call it? You put in so much money or whatever. Because I know he had like a special steelbook release for that, and then you get that special DVD that talks about everything, how they set it all up and stuff. But, you know, it just, for me, I love the ideas, what he was doing. And you could see in some of the original pictures what he was trying to go for. I think he was trying to go for the Running Man with a horror twist idea. but I think he wanted to do it more carnival-ish, you know, very, I would say more of like amusement park gone wrong kind of deal. That's the vibe that I got, you know? And it seems like when he got to it and tried to do it, you know, he was just like, well, it's the easy sell that I can get to them, and that's what they're expecting. So I gave him that with my twist to it. And you could tell he had passion in it, but it's just like he was fed up with it, you know? Like, he was fed up with the fact that he couldn't do his actual original vision. And I get it, you know, MPAA, they have to have special ratings and all that shit, like rated R, rated X, NC-17, all that shit, you know? But I want to say that when he released it to the people that helped crowdfund it on their Blu-ray DVD edition, I think it shows, like, everything, you know? Like, even the deleted scenes, all that stuff. Because typically he has to chop a lot. You know, Devil's Rejects in point. You know, the Halloween remake 1 and 2, you know, there was a lot of scenes that they didn't put in the theaters that he re-released in a unrated version. It was just fucking brutal, you know? And I think that's what he did with this one, but I think he, like, turned the brutal level, like, up to, all the way up on the knob, you know what I'm saying? But it was really good, you know? For me, I enjoyed it. It paid a lot of homage to the slasher fans, the gore fans. If you want to watch a simple film that has just like straight gore, it's intense, you know, this is your film to go to. That's how I would picture it as, you know? But, I don't know, it's just, I'm trying to see the view of where people say that they don't like it, you know? Because as I was doing the research for this episode, you know, especially now that it's Halloween, you know, everybody, there are some people that were pissed off. They were like, you know, the movie's called 31. It takes place on Halloween, but it has nothing to do with Halloween or horror, so why the fuck would you call it 31? You know, so I could see that aspect of some people being upset. Okay, I get that. But at the same time, I'm like, you know, how can you see that this is a bad film? You know, because it was really good. You know, a lot of people are going to knock on the fact, too, that most of them, they're the same actors that he's ever worked with. I think the only new actor that he worked with that was different was Lawrence Hilton Jacobs, who was, like I said, Freddie Boom Boom from Welcome Back, Kotter. And that was basically it. I mean, Lou Temple, who played Psycho Head, he played in Devil's Rejects. You had Jeff Daniels Phillips, who played Roscoe. He played in Halloween 2, who gets his face stomped in, calling Michael Myers a dirty hippie, you know. E.G. Daily, we know her. Richard Brock was somebody new, but he didn't get enough credit for the film. I mean, I think he was in the film a total of, you know, 15 minutes altogether if you combine everything, you know. But he made the film. He made it intense, you know. And that's what's cool about him. Malcolm McDowell, he was in it, you know, from Halloween 1 and 2, you know, and other films that he's worked with. Meg Foster, she had a small role in Lords of Salem, you know, so she had worked with him. You know, Tracy Walter, he was the guy who did Lucky Leo. He was Bob from Batman. I don't think he's ever worked with him. But I mean, you know, a lot of people are going to knock and say, well, it's the same actors, just in a different film. And it's like, well, yeah, but, you know, they're great fucking actors. Like, if you watch the remake of Halloween and you watch 31, you could tell that they're playing like two completely different people, you know. That's my motto on it. I know everyone has their own opinion, but, you know, I still enjoyed it. I mean, what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below if you enjoyed 31, if it was one of those oddball ones, you're just like, you know, head scratcher. For me, I really enjoyed it, you know. And most of the horror fans that I talked to, some people, now I'm going to say it like this. For every 10 people that I asked, what do you think of 31? Roughly 6 of them like it. The other 4, they're just like, eh. And then, you know, I'll throw in a bonus. One person was just like, nope, I fucking hated it. You know, and it's like, well, why? It's Rob Zombie. You know, I mean, you gotta, like, he did what he could, you know? And for what it was, I think a lot of people were pissed off, too, because since it was such an independent film and you know, small and crowdfunded by him, he did the one-day release. And I remember, you know, I got my tickets. As I was waiting to go to the movie theater, you kept seeing people going in saying, hey, do you have any more tickets for the movie? They're like, no, it's sold out. They're like, they're going to play it again? They're all like, no, it's a one and done, you know? So, I mean, when I went to go see it at theaters, it was a packed fucking house, you know? And I think a lot of people that missed it that first day, because it came out in September, instead of Halloween, I don't know why, a lot of people were pissed, you know? So, after it did really well for that one-day viewing, they basically said, okay, we're going to bring it back, and we'll do, one on October 27th, one on Halloween, which they did. And later on, I think it was in 2017, I want to say February or March, that's when they released it on Blu-ray, at least in local retail stores and stuff. I think most people got theirs early for the crowdfunding and stuff like that. But I thought it was pretty cool, like how he did everything. And to me, I think, in my opinion, this is why this film's still going to hold up pretty well. You're going to have people that love it. You're going to have people that hate it. But the people that love it were the ones that supported it from day one. And they love every aspect of it because, they were a part of it, Then you have the other people that don't like it because of their views from the previous film that he did, Lords of Salem. Which, you got to give him more credit. Because, Lords of Salem wasn't all that bad, what people say it was. Everybody has their own different taste of flavor. You know what I'm saying? But overall, it was a good film. For me, I love watching it, especially during this time. It's fucking Halloween season, right? We gotta enjoy it, have fun. But anyways, thank you all for tuning in and joining me in this episode for episode 33 on 31. I know I fucked up and should have did this as episode 31. It would have made more sense, but you know what? I wanted to wait for the Halloween season. Give you all, a little bit of fun, and we can have some fun with this Halloween season, right? But anyways, thank you all for tuning in, guys, and I'll catch you all next time. As always, be sure to subscribe to the SaWGuy podcast, and don't forget to hit the bell notification.